The streets of Laredo as I walked out in Laredo one day. I spied a young cowboy all wrapped in white linen, all wrapped in white linen, and cold as the clay. All right, here we go. Wolverine's here and going nowhere. Hey, happy birthday, going nowhere. Good for you. I bet you've had a lot fewer of them than have I. That's unfortunate to hear about your mom and your sister being gone. That's terrible. And Anbu's here and Kaiser Retro. Hey, Retro Mint Man. Gabe's in. Oh, hold on. It jumped down a bunch of people on me. Gabe's here and Anbu and Trevor and Krusty and Tim Doherty and Connor and Plus Ultra. Farhan, Willie, Empire Jeff. Big Green is in. Poppy's here, my favorite ginger. Oh, yeah. Yeah, wow. Seems like Susan may have accidentally sent out some notifications. Let me center this camera a little bit more because none of you want to miss all the beauty that is that. Excuse me. Come on, open up. There we go. Got that. Oh, so much better. Gabe says, what's the difference between Jesus and a painting of Jesus? You only need a single nail to hang the picture frame. Yeah, I've heard that one. Chrome says, oh, YouTube was messing with me. The timer reset to 57 minutes till stream. Refresh the stream and now it works. God damn it, Susan. Just quit fucking around with us, will ya? You know what it's talking about YouTube and fucking around. You guys remember when I reacted to that Meat Canyon video that everybody else reacted to and I got a community guideline strike? I don't think there's an expiration on that community guidelines warning. What kind of bullshit is that they're pulling? They put expirations on strikes, but not on a warning? There's no date listed. I'm going to have, well, I was going to say I'm going to have to take that up with them, but taking up anything with YouTube now has become just so fucking cumbersome. Connor, I know, isn't it? It's sad that you're surprised anytime you get a notification, but I get it. Andrew says, hey, Curtis, what do you do when you're sad about something and you can't stop thinking about it because it's something you care about? Ooh, that's a difficult one. When something has hit you emotionally like that, I don't know that there's a foolproof way to stop thinking about it. The first thing you can do is obviously try and focus on upcoming things. Whatever you have in your life that you're looking forward to, no matter how small it may be, you try and focus on that more. And when possible, I don't know specifically what you're talking about, but when possible, the thing that you're sad about, when you can get to the elements surrounding whatever that sadness was, like, for instance, in the case of someone passing, you need to get to the point of where you're spending more time remembering the good times and the good things than dwelling on the fact that they're not with you anymore. But outside of that, for me, that's always been the most effective. Whatever you have coming up that you're looking forward to, or you can create for yourself to be looking forward to, is to focus on that as much as possible. Hanbu says, I have returned from being a dirty hoe. # prostitute. Well, I listen, here we have a lot of respect for dirty hoes. And I'm not just talking about gardening implements. Those two. Hoes, rakes, they're all good with me. Do I remember Filthy Frank? Of course. Big homie Bob. I love Papa Franco. He was Just the best. Static. I'm doing well. Thank you. I appreciate that. Nix says I survived Corona. Now I hear Pico's voice all the time. Yeah, I was just talking. Our staff is here um with my daughter Renee. You guys know Renee, and she's not only our staff, she's our friend. And Carly was downstairs, and she lit a candle, a scented candle, and I was recording earlier, and I opened my door, and when I did, I got the full aroma of the candle, and I was like all impressed because even though I've kicked Corona, I've done the test, and I don't have any COVID left in my system. The only thing that's remaining is, and it's not across the board, but inconsistency with smells. There's a lot of things I can smell. Well, there's a number of things I can smell, a lot of things that I can't really smell properly yet. Tastes have mostly all come back. I told you guys when I first realized they were coming back with that goddamn Dayquil, but most of it's come back. But I was just pleased that it's like, oh, well, at least the scented candle gets entirely past COVID because, man, I could smell that strong. Oh no, Willie says stream started right when porn time started. That's one thing I don't like to interrupt is anyone's porn time. I feel bad for doing that. Rosa says, guess what I can say? Rosa's discovered the key towards getting around the YouTube censorship with fonts. She says, guess what I can say? I'm going to fuck some prostitutes and smoke weed. You cannot stop me. Excuse me, sorry guys. Chrome says, by the way, little update on Kotaku telling people to pirate Metroid Dread. Nintendo's begun to hit them. Okay, I'll be right back to chat. Let me just check Chrome's link here. I do want to see this continuing saga. That Kotaku article getting its video taken down by Nintendo is fucking hilarious. Ah, this first pirate game. I'm just reading some of the comments too. Oh yeah, yeah. You're right. Now that the gauntlet has been tossed down, Chrome. Andu says, not gonna lie, depression has been such a difficult thing to deal with, and I take it day to day. Sometimes, some days worse, sometimes good. It's life, though. Yeah, and you. That's actually, believe it or not, Andu, what you said last thing there is a very healthy way to look at it because the one thing you don't when you're dealing with sadness, depression, things like that, the one thing you don't want to allow yourself to believe is that you're alone. And there is some absolute truth to the old adage that misery loves company in the respect that it's just human to be able to feel a little better about what you're going through when you know it's a shared experience. Others have done it as well. And my point in all this is most all of us have been there. So don't feel like it's something insurmountable and that you're the only one to have faced it, because we've all hit those patches and you can get through them. And I mean that not to demean what you're going through. I mean to express that to you as a way of looking at, okay, other people have seen similar things. They found a way through it. I can find a way through it too. That's very important to know that you're not alone in feeling like that. Rosa says, I'm half Latino. Do I get the N-word pass? Well, when you're as white as all this, Rosa, I can't even comment on who gets the pass and who doesn't. My guess is going to be no. Gabe says, what do you throw a racist when he's drowning? His wife and kids. Aww. Big Green says, even though it's Nintendo, I do like to see Kotaku getting shafted. I think a lot of people will share that sentiment with you, pal. Double A Ron says, you know why divorce is expensive? Because it's fucking worth it. Excuse me. Andu says, wait, did you lose your N-word pass? Yeah, I never had one. I can guarantee you that. That's like I say. That's what you get so many people getting blindsided by bringing up old tweets and public comments and stuff, and white folks toss around the N word in those things. I never liked using that word. I don't like the word. So at least I don't have that to worry about showing up for me. Philip says, I can't say I really have any heroes. I have people I admire, but I wouldn't call them heroes. Yeah, for me, I'm Philip. When I use the term hero, it's like really very specific, and I think I have a few that I would call heroes. Particularly now because I like you say, idols or people I admired, and most of them were sports related. So guys like Roberto Clemente was my big hero when I was a kid. So was Bruno Sammartino, Dick Butkus, and of that crew, I can say that Sammartino definitely rose from idol or someone I admire to hero to me after I met him. Because it's one thing to have, you know, followed someone and been enamored of the things that he did in his career and just again being an idol to me. And then when you meet him and find out that he was such a fantastic human being and such a gentleman and such just a class dude that to me elevated him to hero status. Chrome says Nintendo gives free review copies and early access to events to journalists at Kotaku. Pretty sure that's dead now. PC Gamer is encouraging piracy of the game too. Game journalists are trash. Wow. Wow. Krusty says Dick Butkus. Say what? Oh, even though he wasn't on my favorite team, because my favorite team was the Cowboys and became so because they had Bob Lilly and Bob Hayes. But shortly after I started watching football because of them, I discovered Butkus and it was like, this guy's a fucking psycho. And oh yes, I had great admiration for his psychosis. Andre the Giant was cool as hell, cool. I mean, I always wish I could have gotten to meet him. I got to watch him a couple times on house shows, but never got to meet him. Big Green says he said Dick Butkus. Trevor says, of course, one of Curtis's heroes had the name of Dick. This Dick also happened to hit hard. It did. When that Dick pounded you, you stayed pounded. Andrew says, not my hero, but Larry Fitz was such a good... Larry Fitzgerald? Oh, fantastic guy. For those who don't follow, Larry Fitzgerald was a wide receiver in the NFL for years. And by all accounts, just a pure class dude. Just a great guy. Yeah, it's it's one of the things especially as I've gotten older, when I watch sports, obviously you like to see guys who are good character guys. Giannis and Antetokounmpo, I think he falls in that category. But I enjoy watching the sports where they get to be young men, or to me, they're still kids acting like kids. When they can step away for a moment within the game or within a celebration when the NFL isn't stopping them from celebrating. And you get to see that joy of playing the game come out. I just always enjoy those moments. Watch lots of videos on YouTube, that just highlight that type of stuff. Jesus Christ is here. He says, what's the difference between me and my pick? One nail. Oh, Josh, one of my heroes is clearly Master Roshi. Rosa says he's a wide receiver. Indeed. Well, think about the lineup in the NFL, Rosa. You got wide receivers and tight ends and and tackles. Gabe says, probably my biggest inspiration is John F. Kennedy because of how inspirable his speeches are and how more people are inspired to do something. Yeah, he was a great speaker. Kennedy was. That era had a lot of great speakers. I mean, you had JFK. Obviously, you had Martin Luther King. There were a lot of great speakers in the 60s and 70s. Solara says, my absolute hero is Mr. Rogers, even this late after his passing. He was a lovely man and his love was supposedly unconditional. I want to see his movie. I still haven't seen it. Unless you tried to use him to market to children. Fantastic man. Yeah, I remember the previews, the biopic about him, and I still haven't got to see it. I really do want to see that. Anbu says Larry Fitz was a super thick boy. Yes, he was. Philip says, even among the people I admire, most of them are dead. Yeah, me too, pal. Which is a shame because I think in this dumpster fire of an era we live in, we could use some heroes. Couldn't agree more. Yeah, my heroes, of course, I said Clementi, and he died way back in 72. Butkus is still with us. I still haven't gotten a chance to meet him. Bruno, unfortunately, passed away a few years ago, not just a couple of years after I finally got to meet him. Believe it or not, as a kid, I always was nerded out for Secretariat, the racehorse, just because I thought what he was doing was so amazing, so incredible, that he was that much better than everybody else. And I get choked up watching the video of him in the 73 Belmont. It still chokes me up, especially when because I know the whole backstory to it and everything. And of course, I never got to meet Secretariat himself, but I was fortunate that I got to meet his jockey and his owner, and I believe they have both since passed, unfortunately. Anbu says, "What do you think of the John Gruden thing?" As somebody who, you guys know me, I despise cancel culture, and I don't even like this concept of going after people because they said something untoward or whatever. However, in this case, given Gruden's position and things like calling Roger Goodell a faggot, he's just, the things he said in those emails are so unsavory and so absolutely unbecoming of somebody who's supposed to be a professional in a professional arena that I think he deserved to get fired. That's my opinion. I think I always relate it to the common man like myself. If I was saying things like that about my boss and just being a dick to people I work with and stuff, and saying those horrific things, I would think I would get fired. Chrome says this controversy is basically becoming free advertisement for the game as well. True. Journalists seem to have some vendetta against Metroid, probably because it's challenging and requires you to think. Yeah, true. Philip says Secretariat's jockey was Canadian. Yes, Ron Turcotte was Canadian. Good. He was a great guy, Philip. I got to up at the racetrack in Saratoga. One summer, I got to meet him when they were doing it. They were doing an homage to Secretariat, and of course, a lot of the young people just aren't really in tune with it, so there wasn't a big crowd around Turcotte all day. So I got to sit there and talk with him a lot. It was fun. It was really fun getting the whole backstory. He said that day that Secretariat ran the Belmont, he said, I had nothing to do with it. He said, do you know how powerful that animal was? He said, he had his own vision of how this race was going to go, and he ran it. He said, there was not a goddamn thing I could do. He said, I was just along for the ride, and he hit the first turn so hard he scared me. He said, I thought he was either going to throw me or break a leg because he was putting so much torque into that turn. It was just amazing to talk to him. Kaiser says, can't say I have a particular hero. Maybe the men of the 1916 Irish Rebellion. Patrick Pearse was one, as he was adamant in reviving Irish culture. Even his mansion is in Dublin's Park. Oh, that's cool. I tell you, and again, I know that movies will always take certain liberties with the true history of things, but Braveheart, that I knew very little about. And why is Braveheart? Why is his name gone away? William Wallace. I knew very little about the legend of William Wallace prior, but he's a fascinating character to me. And I know that in the movie, as gruesome as it was, I know they toned down his death a lot as to what they really did to him. But, excuse me, As far as historical figures, I'm a major William Wallace nerd. Jake says, Jared from Subway is my hero. Helped me lose so much weight. Huh? What? He did what? Fuck, my hero lived long enough to become the villain. In all seriousness, Hugh Jackman. Oh, Hugh Jackman. Hugh Jackman seems like a really decent dude, too. Everything I've seen, whenever you see him in an interview or something like that, outside of his acting duties, he just seems like a good guy. Appist says, "Show your full design T-shirt with standing." I understand. Don't get me wrong. I'm not laughing at Appist at all. I just love the way that he always phrases that. That's just perfect. What am I wearing? Oh, it's I completely forgot what I had on. It's our boy Saitama. Got to do my push-ups. Oh man, guys. Speaking of which, I got to get back to working out because I was training regularly and then COVID hit and I just couldn't do it. And now this week I've been meaning to go back to it, but again, I'm doubling and tripling up to get things ready for when we go away. So I haven't had time. I just had to do some local stuff. I had to go down the bank, do a couple things right here in the town I live in. I went out, I was walking around doing stuff for maybe 20 minutes. My quads are actually screaming. It's that I'm finding out. I read up on it. A lot of people have the same symptoms, but that fucking COVID kicks the crap out of your musculature. Like atrophies your muscles almost immediately. I gotta get working out again. Rosa says, if we're talking history, I'm a Frederick the Great fan. Why? He was hella gay, but Hitler idolized him. Irony is funny. Well put, Rosa. Well put. Josh says, honestly, one of my anime heroes is Luffy. Yeah, it's rare for a main character to be my favorite character in a series, but Luffy's completely my favorite character. Easygoing, but don't you dare hurt my loved ones. That's why. Yep. Only thing is I didn't eat the gum fruit to make myself a man of rubber. I would, though. I don't give a fuck if I can't go swimming no more. I want to go gumma. Rose, what's the difference between dollars and Jews? I'd give a shit if I lost $6 million. Jesus Christ. That's what hits me. It's funny Rosa told that joke because I was thinking that too. And tell me if I'm wrong, you guys. We were talking about the whole kerfuffle with Dave Chappelle. How now, you've got not even necessarily only transgender people, but people speaking on their behalf, saying that he shouldn't be saying things like this, shouldn't be making jokes because they're a marginalized community and there's too much violence perpetrated against them, so on and so forth, which I completely disagree with. It doesn't absolve you from being the point of somebody's joke. And they talk like this is the first time in history this has ever taken place. How many comedians have been telling Jewish jokes for years? Are we not paying attention to how many Jewish people across this country alone are victimized every single day? Nobody's crying, screaming to get every comedian who tells a joke about Jewish people canceled. It just kills me how certain groups just want to be above reproach. There's no desire for equality. It's a desire to be untouchable. Gabe says, why do men find it so difficult to solve puzzles after taking Viagra? Because they just keep getting harder and harder. This one's good, Chrome. She says, God, I need to see Chappelle's new special. His previous Netflix one was great. As far as laughs per minute, it's not my favorite of his specials, but it's funny. It's good. It's everything Chappelle does is funny to me. I love him. This one is not. I had to go through and remember them all again. Of the 5 he did this round for Netflix, trying to think back, I think this one would probably be third for me. Big Green says, I can't think of many anime where the main character is my favorite. Me either. One I can think of is Guts and Berserk. Good one. He went through so much shit, but he kept trucking along. That's true. I'd have to think back on Berserk to determine my absolute favorite. We got Luffy. I think Mob and Mob Psycho remains my favorite. It was close because I really got, for whatever reason, I really got Oh, geez, now names are gonna go out of my head. Um, to liken the asshole cult leader there, who becomes a spirit. What's his name, you guys? See, I got him on a T-shirt and everything, and his name's gone out of my head. But I still think Mob is my favorite. But there's been very few anime where my favorite character is the main character. Why is that character's name? Oh, god damn it, I hate that. Let's see. Kaiser says Guy Shishio from Gao Gai Gar is a fictional hero to me. His courage and self-sacrificing nature inspired me when needed to stand up to someone. That's cool. Thomas says if they actually go after people for Jew jokes, Cartman would have been canceled 5 times over by now. No shit, right? And somebody brought it up yesterday, Thomas, and it was a good point that Parker and Stone, the creators of South Park, are among the uncancelable, with Dave Chappelle, Bill Burr, and the like, because they don't give a fuck. They just don't. And it doesn't matter how hard you try and cancel them, their fans are going to remain their fans. Oh, and I did, for those of you who were recommending it yesterday, I did go listen to that Bill Burr meltdown in Philly. That was good. That was funny. I love how he kept, as he was just tearing into everybody, he kept counting down how much time he had left. Philip says, Mr. Williams, why do you think there's so little comedy in Germany? Well, do you think it's because you killed all the funny people? Mark says they know their fans and Comedy Central will protect them. Yeah, and that's the thing, and I think that needs to happen personally more often. Is more of us who do believe that anybody should be allowed to tell any jokes they want need to stand up for the people who they attempt to cancel. Jeff says Light Yagami. I love Death Note. Love it, love it. Philip says Horatio Nelson was pretty badass. Man had one arm, one eye, and still managed to make a name for himself as a frontline leader. Really? I'm not familiar with him. That's pretty cool. I'm not familiar with him. Excuse me, guys. That's what I'm hearing, Willie. I haven't watched it yet. He said they released a trailer for Home Sweet Home Alone, the Home Alone reboot, and it looks like shit. I've heard from a number of people who watched it, and they all have the same opinion you do, but I haven't seen it yet. But I have yet to hear anybody who has seen it say something good about it. So that's not an encouraging sign. Jake says, I like how Hugh Jackman is 12 years younger than his wife. I didn't know that. And enjoys expressing his love for his wife when he can. Oh, that's cool. I didn't know that. He just seems like a square guy. He does. Hugh Jackman always struck me when you see him in interviews and stuff. He just hit me as the kind of guy that it'd be fun just to hang out with. Just seems like a good dude. Ben Davis says, "What do you think when you mix? Ugh. What do you get when you mix a vegan and Donald Trump? Someone I don't want to be around." Big Green says, "I think L should have won in Death Note. The ending is a bit messy." Yeah, I've heard that sentiment a lot. I can't say as I entirely disagree with it. The having L die was in the moment actually I think really good storytelling and fearless storytelling. And now what was the kid's name that replaced him, his student there, the white-haired kid. But anyway, having him go the rest of the distance, I wasn't sure how I felt about it at first. I ended up liking it. I ended up enjoying it. But that is a criticism that I get. I see why people make it. Philip says Nelson was in the Royal Navy. He basically broke the back of Napoleon's ability to wage war on the sea at the Battle of Trafalgar. There's a monument to him in London. Oh, that's very cool. See, I'm so weak on my historical figures. Mello, thank you, Jeff. Yes, Mello. Near, yep. Yeah, he was. I wasn't sure how I felt about him at first, but I actually ended up liking the way the story went. That's an interesting perspective. Chrome says Death Note's ending feels like they had a predetermined outcome for the ending, but never considered how to actually get there. Like I say, as much as I enjoyed it, that's one I can see, yeah, that where there's room for criticism. Things could have definitely been done differently and been just as or more effective. So yeah, I get that. Homosexual Sasuke says, in my opinion, the anime of Death Note didn't do the stuff after El Justice. The manga fleshes out the second half more. Does it? I would believe that. I will say this though, that final scene where Light dies and Ryuk sits there perched on top of that, whatever he was on top of, writing his name in the Death Note is and will always be one of my favorite scenes in anime. That is just, that is so well done. Zurazul says, now I find out Big Bald Man is watching Castlevania and loving it. Love the dialogue and the fights in that series. My friend who binges anime with me said Isaac is one of her all-time favorite characters. So good. He's getting there for me, Zurazul. He is a great character. We were just talking about that the other day because he had that episode at the end of season 2. It was episode 9 of season 2, where most everybody's getting laid and Isaac's just laying waste to everything. And Isaac definitely had the best day. But Isaac's a great character. Yeah, he's cool as fuck. And the relationship between Sypha and Trevor and the conversations they have are phenomenal. And believe it or not, for me, Alucard is one of the most empathetic characters I've seen. That poor bastard. I mean, he's got a really sad, lonely existence going on there. Hey, Willie took over Stream Boss. And it says, here's a joke, critical race theory. Here's an enraging joke, critical race theory being taught in schools. Yeah, Castlevania is so good, Sasuke. Yeah, I agree. And when it first started at the Goosh, at our Patreon, as a sponsored series, and I'm willing to try anything, especially anything you guys recommend, because you guys haven't steered me wrong yet. And I didn't go into it with a lot of expectation, only because I didn't like the game. I only played the original version, whatever system that was that came out on. And it kind of bored me and I never went back to it. So that was my only experience with it. But then, I mean, that series wraps up right away. Just in the whole concept of how in season 1, Dracula's not necessarily a bad guy. I fucking get where Dracula's coming from. Well, what those bags of shit did to his wife? Fuck humans. I get it. Gabe says, what do you get when you cross a dick with a potato? A dictator. Chrome says, love Castlevania. Never got into the anime. None of the characters feel like the games. Feels like they went out of their way to ignore the games. Example, most good characters are part of the church. Really? See, Chrome, I have next to no knowledge of the game, just for the reasons I outlined. I played it, it just didn't stick with me. It didn't grab me, so I never went back to it. Excuse me. Fat Guy says you should play Symphony of the Night sometime. Incredible game, even if you didn't like the original games. I'm not even familiar with that one. Symphony of the Night? I don't even remember that title, my friend. Farhan says, I never really understood CRT. Matter of fact, I haven't been able to understand anything at all. I'm losing brain cells. I'm just a kid still. I know about the brain cell loss thing. I'm not a fan of CRT in the respect that I believe that the history of this country should be told as its honest and true history. But from what I've been able to glean from CRT, it wants to indoctrinate people into a certain way of thinking and believing, and that certain outcomes need to be achieved, and I don't believe in that. I mean, we could get into that as a whole conversation in and of itself, but I think, the fact that this country has a history with slavery and everything should absolutely be taught. And I think it should be taught the horrors that slaves went through in trying to survive their captivity and the things that were done to them. I do not believe as educators, you should take it a step further in trying to dictate what society should do in reparation for that. I did hear that. Chrome says CRT is just communist ideology rebranded. Its founders even admit it's Marxist. I did hear about that, admitting that it was Marxist. Big Green says Symphony of the Night is amazing if you can get past the cheesy voice acting. Really? Sometimes, well, it depends on the context. But some cheesy voices can be cool sometimes, depending on either the game or the anime or whatever the case may be. Romney says, totally won that ERB against Obama. I'm not a cheesecake. Chrome says, Alucard in the games is voiced by Sasuke of all people, if I remember right. Is it? I didn't know that. That's kind of cool. I didn't know that. Gabe says, how can you tell if your husband is dead? Sex is the same, but you get to use the remote. See, now that's never been a problem in my house because my wife is the most, and she'll admit to this, one of the most technologically adverse people you'll ever see. So she doesn't want the fucking remote. She would rather just go, hey, show XYZ is on, find it for me. She don't want nothing to do with that fucking remote. Chrome says, have you ever seen Home Alone 4? I have not. That'll give you an idea of the feel of the new Home Alone trailer, somewhere between 3 and 4 comedy-wise. Really awful. That's why I haven't seen it, Chrome, is because the reviews on it were always so bad, and it didn't really interest me that much to keep continuing that story anyway. And then when everybody started talking about how horrible it was, I've never even bothered to watch 3 or 4. Big Green says, if we ever do clip streams again, I have to send you Dracula's infamously cheesy speech from Symphony of the Night. I would love to do that. And I'll try and get to them. The only holdup is, guys, I've had issues with that. It's right here. I forgot, what do they call that program? Media Share. With that Media Share thing we use to post the videos. So I've got to get time to go through with Streamlabs and make sure I've got everything running smoothly. And again, when I'm getting videos done ahead of time, it just gets, I have so little time. I've never got enough time before our streams to sit down. I'm going to need a good, probably half hour or so to get this all working again. But once I do, we'll go back to them. Let's see. Krusty says, I heard there's a Home Alone remake now. It's trash. Not even going to go after the 3rd or 4th parts. Yeah, that's what Chrome was talking about, Krusty. Everybody's saying that even the trailer is just terrible. Terrible. The cotton is already picked. I've heard that one, Rosa. I've heard that one before. Trevor says, oh no, I'm getting flashbacks to Home Alone 4. Why the fuck did my drunk ass think watching that dumpster fire was a good idea? Hey, I wanted to ask you guys something too. A few of you made comments, because usually when we're coming into the stream, when I'm sitting here setting up the stream, I sing to just singing along, because as much as my voice is not great, I love singing. Would you guys be interested in more, once I completely have shaken the cold effects I have left from COVID, would you guys be interested in me posting more songs? I think the only one I did recently a cappella, it would be all the classic stuff, the stuff you guys hear me singing at the beginning of the streams and stuff. I think the only one I did was Somewhere Over the Rainbow. I don't know how many of you even saw it, because I know for a fact that anything that doesn't say reaction video on it, Susan doesn't send out shit for notifications. So I don't even know how many of you guys saw that one, but would you guys, what I'm asking is, would you guys be interested in those? I'd like to do a whole series of them. There's so many songs I really enjoy, but I don't know if that's something that would be interested to you guys. Moon River, it would be one of them. Empire Jeff, I like that. Chrome says sure. But I don't know how, as you can hear with the clearing the throat and everything. You did see it, Philip? I don't know how long it'll be till I can get back to where I can do them again, but I really enjoy that. Uh, Big Green says I don't remember it, so Susan probably didn't give me a notification on that one. Yeah, it's it's bad, Big Green. And you guys know how I've been looking into trying to figure out some of the elements of why things are so fucked up here, and that I've seen for sure. YouTube knows that reaction videos do well on the channel with our group. So if my description is not reaction video, they're like, oh, well, that probably won't make us enough money, so we just won't even tell people about it. Kaiser says the defender of house is a dog, it becomes a home with a bone. Philip says, can you sing Fly Me to the Moon? That one, I have a very limited range. That one would fit in it. Yeah, that type of song. I hadn't thought about doing that one, Philip, to be honest with you, but I like that song. Pretty much anything that was like a Sinatra type song is stuff that I can work with. Yes, I would do that one. I like that one. Gabe says, my wife and I were out to dinner and the waitress started flirting with me. She obviously has COVID, my wife said. Why, I asked. My wife replied with a sneer because she has no taste. All right, that's well played. Chrome says, NES games are really different than the later ones. Symphony of the Night onward go in a less linear, more exploration route. Fun fact, the church was against the European witch burnings. Big difference. Yes, I'm surprised. I don't even know that one. Oh, I could like Totally Donuts to sing Bohemian Rhapsody. I would never. I'm such a Freddie Mercury fanboy. I would never dishonor his memory by butchering something he sang. Yeah, Bohemian Rhapsody is way the fuck above my pay grade. Way above. Jake says, I don't drink alcohol, so by default, I'm Zorro's hero. He can have all of mine. Mine too. I'm with you, Jake. Polka says, your opinions on Filthy Frank songs, please. What I've heard of Joji's music, I liked. And of course, the songs he did as Filthy Frank, STFU is still one of my favorite things I've ever seen, heard, watched. Yes, please, my ears need a good raping. Well, let me step right up to the plate then, Philip. I've heard that one before. Gabe says I wasn't close to my father when he died, which is lucky because he stepped on a landmine. Sing STFU. No, nobody could match Papa Franco. It wouldn't be the same experience. No way. All right, guys. Well, that's all I got time for today. But Shelby says STFU is a good workout song. Tomorrow will be Free for All Friday, so I'm going to try and get on. Hopefully, well, not necessarily earlier, but have more time. I've been working. Again, it's just, getting all these videos done ahead of time. And as I told you guys, if it were strictly up to me, if it weren't for the fact that we're bringing the grandkids, I would not be going on this Disney trip in November. And I never thought I'd be sitting here saying that, but fuck Bob Chapek and what he's done to Disney World, because they're losing my interest entirely. But unfortunately, I can't do that to my grandkids. I can't not go with them. So I'll be, for the next month, I'll be plugging away, getting stuff done. But I will, there's always going to be, outside of my death or something similar, there's always going to be a Free for All Friday. So because it's Thursday, of course, the sticky stuff is extra hopeful. I'm already, and as we're sitting here talking, I'm already amped up for Free for All Friday tomorrow. So there's got to be something. There's got to be something about it. I just got that feeling that it's gonna be a banger. I think it's gonna be a good one. So here's some high quality Free for All Friday sticky stuff. Thursday doesn't even get a mention in the name. It's Free for All Friday sticky stuff. Pampu pampu, sticky stuff for you, sticky stuff for you, sticky stuff for you, sticky stuff for you. Oh yeah, enjoy that sticky stuff and be prepared, because again, I think tomorrow's gonna be a big one. Big one, I wish. Because we'll bang, okay? Flashy like buggy. And as always, most importantly, and it is a big one. Goosh, 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 goosh. Goosh.